In this video, we're going to cover the changes in Update 3 of the Sketch program. And there's only really a couple of changes that happen with the program. Along from fixing some of the errors, we went ahead and added some new features to the brush. And we're only going to cover the brush because the standard sketch remained identically the same. As you recall, a lot of the things are still here from the past, so nothing has really changed. Okay. However, what has changed is the brush sketch section. And if you notice now, we have new items from this point down. All of this is new. They've have added several things for our brush. From this portion up, it pretty much remains the same from the other versions. They decided not to go with the extra button up here, so again, all they did is added the items we needed from this point down. So I will just briefly show you what these new things do, and they only apply to the new method of doing our brush diagrams and our brush guidelines that have been implemented by Allstate. We'll start with if you notice that there is brush within 1,000 feet, and you also discover that there is brush within the actual property lines and or within 100 feet perimeter according to their requirements. So if that is the case and you do find brush, you will select this one here. And it applies the same way. You click where you're going to want it, click, hold, do not let go, drag till it matches up with the north compass. Let it go, and if you notice, it created your perimeters. So there's your 100 feet, and here's your 30 feet. And here are your quadrants. Your south, your north, your west quadrant, and of course, your east quadrant. So you have 4 quadrants. You have 100 feet circle from the center. Your surrounding area is 100 feet. And then you have your 30 feet circle from the middle of the area. Okay, from the middle to the edge is 30 feet. From this edge to the end is 70 feet. From the end to the middle of the center is 100 feet. Okay, so again, that is your distance. And just for the sake of sample, I will go ahead and use the connector. Now this is not what you have to do, but I just want to give you the distance. 30 feet. Again, I repeat, you don't have to do this. This is just for our training purposes. 70 feet. Giving us a total of 100 feet. Disregard this upslope, downslope. I'm just giving you an idea of measurement. Okay? Now, so if we find brush, here are all the items that you can add. First of all, again, we're using a Architect North, so we're always assuming that north is always on top. And assuming that the street is on the west side, going north and south, we're going to face the front of the door facing the west. So you select that item, click and hold. Do not let go till you center exactly where you want your house to be. Once it's centered exactly where you want it, you're welcome to let go, and it places it there. So there's your structure. Then, of course, you start adding any of the items that affect the property. Now remember, you're in the property line. We're taking an assumption here that the property line is actually all the way out here. And this is where they have a fence. All the way up to 100 feet. It's a big home, so we're going to take that assumption. And you go ahead and you start adding all the items you find. So if you find light brush within the property, you go ahead and place it where you believe it belongs. There it is. Then, of course, you'll have, if you find that there's lower tree limbs, and again, these are little trees, do not use tree canopy. That's for 1,500 feet elevation. We're talking about trims that lower tree limbs that have not been trimmed up, and they're within the areas that they're supposed to be trimmed up. So again, we're talking about the north quadrant within a 70 feet section. Okay, so we're talking about lower tree limbs, LTL. Then we happen to find plants and shrubs, and they happen to be close by within the 30 feet. Then we notice that on the west side it's lean and green. Okay, so that gives you an example of how to use this program. So again, it's the same philosophy that we've been using. Now, that's that example to give you what the tools do. If you actually use the California Brush Clean, that gives you this quadrant that already has everything set up for you. Okay? So again, California Brush Clean, California Brush Blank. And this already has the sections of the reduce, fuel zones, lean and green, and it's the same thing. Click, use, hold, let go, and there it is. And you start putting all your labels accordingly to, 10 feet tree from the chimney. Okay? So again, these are and if you need to add a label, here it is. Click, same thing. Let go exactly where you want it, and then you put anything on there. I'm going to call this label. Okay, so it'll be called label. Hit OK. Now when you're putting labels, there's a trick to the whole thing. You want to make sure that you put your mouse exactly centered to where you want your center word to be. For example, the word label. If I want it to be right on top of this E, I will put my cursor there, but I'll go straight up a little bit, then I'll click, and that's where my B will end up. And again, I'll type out the word label so you can see it. Hit OK. There it is. See? There's the B right above the E. So again, you use your cursor, you use your mouse, click. You're not going to see anything till after you type it, but that's how you know how you can get things straight. Okay? So those are some of the tricks on how to use this. I'm not going to go into which one you should use for which section of the brush or anything like that. I just showed you how the tool works and how you can apply this stuff. We will get more into the technical aspects of the sketch program as to what applies to what in the lean and green section and reduce fuel zones, and which of the two diagrams you should use for what occasion. And that will be covered in the next video. This is just basically to show you how to use the tools, how to click, how to do our new diagram and what it looks like.